Alright, hello everybody, welcome back to another episode of Thought Bubble. We are now back doing it in person. Fixed up some video issues that we're having in terms of storage. Anyways, we're happy to be back with video. Hopefully this type of content is a lot more engaging than just the audio version. But again, all of our, the full audio version of our episodes are going to be posted on everywhere where you can listen to different podcasts. So, if you can't sit down and watch the video, make sure you check it out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, whatever it is that you listen to podcasts, it's going to be on there. But yeah, this is episode 10. So we've been doing this for 10 weeks now.
Yeah.
Pretty crazy. We're at double digits. But without further ado, make sure to guys like, comment, and subscribe. Let's get right into this episode. All right. So I think first things first, it's been a pretty crazy week. But I think it's safe to say officially that Biden has won the presidential election and is going to become the next, the 46th president of the United States. So congratulations to, Mr. Biden and Kamala Harris on their successful campaign. First things first that they wanted to do. So on Monday, Biden and his team announced a new coronavirus task force. So in his first speech as president-elect, he confirmed that he's going to announce a group of leading scientists and experts as transition advisors to help implement his pandemic response plan. So he said, our work begins with getting COVID under control. That plan will be built on a bedrock of science. It will be constructed out of compassion, empathy, and concern. I will spare no effort or commitment to turn this pandemic around. So, I guess to say the least, I'm glad we have someone who actually appreciates and was going to value science and use that as an approach to controlling COVID. But we know that America is pretty divided on the people that are pro, quarantine, social distancing, managing the virus, and the amount of people that are like, this is infringement on our independent rights. We should be able to go out and do what we want. Let's let the economy thrive and grow. If you restrict us, you're just killing the economy. I think America is pretty evenly divided between those two regions, which is why we see cases continue to rise. But especially when NBC News projected Biden would win the election last month, the U.S. reported its third straight record spike in daily COVID cases. So that was early last week. Now I think they've probably beaten that numerous times. Every day I wake up, I read CNBC, I read something, I just see, U.S. hits record numbers. California passed 1 million COVID cases to be, the second state similar to Texas that has done so. But Biden's not going to be sworn into office until January 20th. And so at this point, COVID cases are expected to skyrocket throughout the winter and as, things get worse by the time Biden gets in. So it's going to be interesting to see how he handles it. But I have no doubt he'll probably do it better than Trump.
Yeah, if everyone can survive until January 20th. But congratulations, President Biden. Speaking of the U.S. election, so of course, there's been numerous countries that's been congratulating Biden. For example, Canada, Justin Trudeau came out and said, congratulations to the 46th President of the United States, Joe Biden. President Xi from China also came out and said, congratulations, Joe Biden. However, Trump still won't concede. He is still pushing numerous Supreme Court lawsuits onto this election. And he's actually been winning some of the legal battles across the states. So I found this pretty funny. There was a report from Global News, which I'm pretty sure it's not dictated by Republicans nor, Republicans or Democrats.
Okay.
But there's been a report from Global News that Puerto Rico actually found 126 briefcases of uncounted ballots 1 week after the election.
Wait, what do you mean Puerto Rico found it?
It's inside Puerto Rico, in the country of Puerto Rico. It's like Canada finds a briefcase of uncounted ballots.
Okay.
So
what does that have to do with?
There's been reports that says that there's been Trump is saying that the electoral, the election's rigged. Some of the counting system, when they count Republican votes, they actually count it towards Democrats. But there has been no signs and no studies that shows that he was correct. But it still questions that how does Puerto Rico find 126 free cases?
That's pretty random.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty messed up.
But yeah, so I heard Georgia is recounting officially.
Yeah.
So
they're officially recounting by hand.
Yeah, by hand.
That's gonna take a super long time.
Yeah.
But I think even Trump knows at this point, like, no matter if he wins all of his lawsuits and they do a recount, like, the difference between Biden and Trump is not small enough for that to change anything.
Well, you don't know that. With 126
unless all the swing states ended up being, we miscounted or it was fraud.
Yeah,
and
so
it goes to Trump.
Yeah, so obviously I'm not saying
unlikely.
that Trump is gonna win, but I'm saying that Trump still won't concede. He still hasn't conceded the election, and it's gonna take him quite a while to move out of the White House. It seems like.
Yeah. Well, he also fired his the chief of defense or something like that.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so I don't know. He's going to be there for, a few more months, so we'll see what happens. But I really, personally, I don't see any change coming from these lawsuits that he's firing or that he's suing for. Because the difference is just too
You know who's spearheading these lawsuits? Rudy
Fauci?
No, Rudy,
the Borat co-star.
Yeah.
Rudy Giuliani.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one that got caught trying to have some, do whatever with a 15-year-old girl in the movie. But
okay, well, moving on.
Yeah.
Right after that, I think CP or whatever AP, I think it was called, the thing
American
that's
Press?
announced that Biden won. The day after, stock markets shot up extremely high. Right, everyone's saying, "Oh, this is like Biden won. This is gonna be," because we didn't know who's gonna win, and we didn't know if Biden winning or Trump winning was gonna do good to the economy. Because Trump's biggest caption or line of don't vote for Biden because he's gonna drive the economy to the ground, right? That was his biggest concern. But after Biden won, there was a huge shot up of stock market, and Pfizer and BioNTech also announced that there's a vaccine with 90% effectiveness the morning of, which everyone started buying these. The stock market just zoomed up 20%. You see these cruise line stocks, these Disney stocks are all going up, and then Zoom stocks drop for 10%. Everyone's shifting out of COVID stocks, quote unquote COVID stocks. So this was announced on November 9th. When I first heard about this, I was like, the effectiveness is actually kind of low, no?
Effectiveness is low?
I know. That's what I said at first. I was like, 90%. That means that if 10 people get it, one person still won't be affected.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people. If there's 7 billion, because there's 7 billion, right? That means that, let me do the math here. So that would be 70 million. Am I thinking?
Know. I don't know, man.
So in the million people that still won't find this vaccine effective, right? And then I talked to my professor that night, and he was like, "Oh, did you hear about this vaccine? It's good news." I was like, "Yeah," and he's like, "Yeah." And then I was really surprised with the 90% effectiveness, because regular flu vaccine has only effectiveness of 45% to 65%, because flu vaccines, they don't know the vaccine, they don't know the flu strain before they produce the vaccine, right? They're just predicting from the previous flu vaccine strains. And the only vaccine that has this type of effectiveness is a measles vaccine with an 85% effectiveness. And this is going to be higher than measles.
Yeah.
So it's interesting.
Definitely unprecedented.
Yeah. This is a huge breakthrough in the history of biotech, I guess.
Yeah, especially because this is a first generation vaccine. Developed so quickly. Nobody had any hope for an efficacy even over 70% is what I was reading. And the fact that they were able to do this in a year, less than a year.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy. But I think going back to what you're talking about, we're going to touch on this a little bit more when we get to the finance section. But yeah, I think definitely once you solidify the next presidential candidate, some stability is going to return back to the markets as people know, okay, we can expect these, tax implications or whatnot, or the future of the economy once it's solidified, whether it was Biden or Trump. But with this announcement, I was talking to you about this earlier, right? I feel people just see this stuff and they just start jumping to conclusions. And we talked about different stocks, retail stores and cruise lines and all this started jumping up super high. because they're like, oh, the end is near, for COVID. But it's funny though, because like I remember reading that, and like stocks had jumped like super high. And the next day I read CNBC again, and I see, US hits record high for COVID cases, stocks tumble. And the next day I see, stocks jump as, confidence behind vaccines. And it's just like a cycle. It just loops and loops, and nobody really knows what's going to happen. But I can tell you for sure, this vaccine that Pfizer and BioNTech created is, number one, not going to be the last vaccine to be created for COVID. And number two, is not going to be suitable for mass distribution. So it's not the solution that we're looking for, but it's a significant breakthrough. So the reason why I say that is because if you read into what they're actually doing, the way that their vaccine has to be administrated is it's a 2-shot vaccine. So I have to give it to you once, and then you got to come back to me 2 weeks later, and I can inject it again. Number one. So that's a huge like organizational and planning shit show, pretty much, to have to do that, especially for like developing countries, right? Number two, even worse, is that these vaccines need to be kept at like negative 80 degrees Celsius. And so that's every single step along the supply chain. You need to keep these vaccines at this extremely low temperatures. That's super expensive. Huge hit and huge squeeze on the inventory of the vaccine. So it's not something that can be globally distributed. So it's not ideal. So there's other ones that we're working on. Ideally, you want a single dose, like a single jab, and you can store it at room temperature, or not negative 80, maybe like negative 10 or something like that. And another huge question that still remains, along with the other two that I mentioned during the test, is that we need to know whether or not it's going to prevent infectiousness or not, because it's possible that the vaccine can prevent someone from getting symptoms of COVID and kind of relieving them of those symptoms, but we're still yet to see whether or not, if you're asymptomatic, if you can spread it to me or not. Which is a huge problem, because ideally we want the vaccine to prevent infectiousness as well as reduce symptoms, so you don't have hospitals packing up and whatnot. I was doing some ratings as well. They are still waiting to meet a few safety data points, a few regulatory approvals, and we could see this being distributed as early as Q1 2021. Right now they're looking to get FDA emergency approval to fast track it, and if it's awarded, Pfizer has said that they can produce 50 million doses by the end of 2020 and 1.3 billion doses in 2021. So
that's still not enough. We got 7 billion people in the world.
And this is like, you need 2 doses per person. Yeah.
So that's basically 1.3 billion just gets cut in half, right?
Yeah, and I really doubt this is going anywhere but US and Canada.
Yeah, not even Canada.
Maybe just the US.
Yeah.
But actually, did you know Canada has actually pre-ordered the most vaccines per citizen? They ordered 10 vaccines per Canadian citizen. And that's number 1 across every single country in the world. So good job, Justin Trudeau. Yeah. What else? Okay, do we want to get into mRNA vaccines? Let's just talk about it a little bit.
Yeah, sure. You can explain what this vaccine is.
Okay, so traditional vaccines, they invoke an immune response by injecting some sort of partially dead or just a portion of the viral particle into your body. Yeah, so you can start generating antibodies to target it. An mRNA vaccine is, you're not injecting any sort of live virus. Nothing of the virus is being injected into you. They're just injecting mRNA, which is like, I don't even know how to, it's like the transcript, which is going to be used to code for specific proteins.
So like DNA goes into mRNA and mRNA goes into protein. And protein is what makes our building block, our body's building block.
Yeah. So what they're doing is they're just injecting mRNA that codes for the specific antibodies that can recognize a spike protein on the coronavirus. So they inject it into you. Now this mRNA transcript gets encoded, and then your cells in your body and your immune system can start creating these antibodies. So there's downsides to this. There's downsides to traditional vaccines, which is why people started to shift to mRNA vaccines. If you think about it, when you're working with traditional vaccines, you're working with live viruses. So you have to grow them, culture them. There's a chance for side effects, mutations when you work with them. But with an mRNA vaccine, what's really good about that is that if there's mutations with COVID, let's say in the future, you can just change the platform of mRNA so that it can create a different set of antibodies that can recognize the newly mutated COVID strain. So it's good for protecting against mutations as well, which is interesting. But yeah, anything else about vaccines?
No, that's it.
Okay.
Oh, I guess we can talk about the coronavirus.
Sure.
So, speaking of the vaccine, the vaccine is made for coronavirus. And we all thought that, well, Trump promised that coronavirus would be gone after he gets elected, which is wrong. So second wave of coronavirus has been hitting all the major cities in Canada and US. Many Canadian cities are under lockdown again. I think I forgot if we talked about this last week or if this is released this week that we just didn't add it onto the doc, but France was under lockdown. I think one of the European countries was under lockdown again.
Okay.
I think it was France. Anyways, it was European country was under lockdown.
Right.
We live in BC. We also go to Ontario universities. These two major cities in Canada are getting hit the most harshly by the second wave. BC is seeing the most infected per day. We're getting up to 1.1K now each day. And same with Ontario. Ontario is also getting hit by 1.1K. All these cities has retract. Both cities were in stage 3. Now we're back to modified stage 2. So please be careful, guys. Stock market is also crashing again.
Yeah. But the stock market is just fluctuating every single day.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, let's get into business finance now.
Yeah.
All right. So what I've been reading a lot, again, take this with a grain of salt. This is my personal opinion, and I just have a passion, as you guys know, for clean energy. But with new Biden presidency, a lot of reports that I've been reading, a lot of research I've been looking into is that clean energy stocks are expected to rise. If you take a look at Biden's plan, in July he announced a $2 trillion spending plan focused on building green, clean infrastructure to reach a clean energy future.
He even said it during the debate, right?
He did.
He said, I love green energy. And then Trump came on and said, nah.
You're gonna stop fracking and destroy the oil industry in Texas, yeah.
And he said that wind gives him cancer.
Yes, he said wind gives him cancer. I know. Yeah, that's messed up. But politicians promise a lot of things. I think Joe Biden's serious about this. I think it was a serious part in his platform, what he's pushing for. But took some luck into some stocks. So Invesco Solar ETF, the symbol is TAN. It is an ETF of a bunch of different solar tech companies in the US and Canada. It is up over 131% year to date and hitting highs not seen since 2011. Meanwhile, if you look at the Energy Select Sector SPDR fund, which has over 45% of its portfolio in the stocks of traditional oil and gas companies, you look at your Chevron, ExxonMobil, stuff like that, has fallen more than 50% in 2020. I think US is, they're probably going to rejoin the Paris Climate Agreement. They're going to rejoin the WHO. They're going to be the forefront of pushing for, sustainable renewable energy sources to power a clean, green energy future. Well,
additionally, I don't know if this is a bit correlated or even is because of this, but there has been 3 major EV companies out of China that's getting the most news right now. NIO again, right? Went up by 20% again this week. Xpeng, we talked about it numerous times on the show, and this new IPO on the New York Stock Exchange, Li Auto, right? These 3 companies has gained over 50% in the last week, right? I also invested in some of this because I heard Biden is really into clean energy and EV is going to be the next big thing for clean energy, I guess. But on Friday, Citron, I don't know if it's a investment group or I don't know.
Citron?
It's called Citron Research.
Okay. What about them?
So it's Andrew Left is an author is an investment newsletter called Citron Research. He came out on Friday, and you can even see it right there. He posted that NIO to 25 story. Basically saying that NIO is a overvalued company. He doesn't trust this Chinese company, and he believes that this company is gonna go to 25. Let me tell you guys, NIO is sitting at $50. It broke 50 Thursday night before market closing. after this research story, NIO has dropped 20% and is now sitting at $40-something, right? Everyone's been shitting on Andrew, but also there's believers in Andrew too, right? Like we talked about in the first episode, these quote-unquote investment like newsletters, these like people that are supposed to help you with investments, they don't know what they're talking about.
Well, this guy's also a short seller.
Yeah.
So he predicts the downfall of companies.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
But you know, there's obviously going to be people that trust them and that doesn't trust them, right? And the people who did trust them obviously made the market crash or NIO crash.
Okay, we
NIO,
don't know if that's
X-Wing. Or you see a lot of people.
How big of a following does he have though?
Well, this is you can search it up, right? Like this is all over everything. This is over Yahoo, finance. This is everywhere. But there's also people that are criticizing him, that's saying, yeah, you can see it.
Yeah, they're dropping. Yeah, they skyrocketed from $33
in a week,
November 2nd
to
50, almost 50.
Yeah.
In a week or a week and a bit.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Same with Xpeng. Xpeng is basically the same evaluation as NIO now. Yeah.
I just think I'm trying to see something I found. Okay, so this was interesting though. Like you take a look at the startup environment, right? We have a lot of software companies coming up, but if you take a look at, let's just call it like the clean tech space, and then EV falls within that. And then you have things like battery storage technologies. You have things like, solar panels, wind farms, stuff like that. That's all hardware startups. So I'm just taking a look right now. So it's quoted that 97% of hardware startups fail to exit in any meaningful way. So there's a 3% success rate if you're a hardware startup to reach the level of Tesla. And Tesla's like 1 in a trillion scale.
Okay.
So I'm just interested to see like how the private markets are going to change with this renowned focus on clean energy. Or even with EV and stuff. Like as costs of lithium ion batteries go down, government subsidiaries for different sort of technologies improve. Like how is that going to work from a private investor standpoint? I don't know. Maybe that's something we can talk about next episode. But I was just thinking about that for hardware startups.
Sure. Next, Apple came out with their third and last event for this year. Finally announced their new computer chip, the M1. And came out with 3 new laptops: the MacBook Air, the MacBook Pro 13-inch, and the Mac Mini. And all of them are said to be efficient and more reliant and more powerful, which is really interesting because I thought they were going to take one of the two, right? I thought they were either going to make it more efficient, which means that they're going to make it run on more power. So my MacBook right now, quote unquote, has a 11-hour battery standing by if I just leave it on. But if they have their own chip, obviously Intel is like a big issue with MacBooks back then, and overheating and also non-compatibility. So with their own ARM chip, I was expecting to increase the the efficiency, maybe having the MacBook go to 24 hours or maybe 30 hours of standby battery. Or I thought they were gonna go with the stance of performance, making it faster, right? With rendering speed, with RAM, all integrated into the same chip, they're gonna have. So instead of having a CPU asking for power and a RAM asking for power, the M1 chip has combined the CPU and the RAM together. So it's a 6-core CPU and a 4-core RAM, and they're gonna be basically asking for power together, which is gonna make it better performance. So I thought those were the 2 ways that they were gonna take it on. But after showcasing this M1 chip, well, obviously we don't know yet. There's no actual testing benchmark for consumers. But they showed this graph, and basically they're saying they improved performance and efficiency, which is huge news, right?
All I remember from the event is that guy going like, and it's just opening right to the page.
Yeah. Anyways, so Apple is notorious for having their stocks drop after an event. Every time there's an event, their stock market drops heavily after the event.
Right.
I don't know why, but they're notorious for it. But this time, Apple stocks finally went up after this event. Not by a lot, maybe by like a 1% or 2%, but it's good news, right? Yeah.
I think it's going to be sick because there's also a big part now that as soon as all of their devices, like the phones, the iPads, they already use the Apple processors, right? It's just like compatibility with the different apps is going to be huge. And I think
so right now, basically, you can run iPhone apps and iPad apps on your new MacBook. That's what they're saying.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So I think it's good news.
But I'm excited to see what they can do with so they only announced 3, and which these 3 are basically the standard or like the baseline models, right? Mm-hmm. The MacBook Pro 16-inch and the iMac and the Mac Pro is what their like quote unquote performance series are meant to be, and they haven't released this chip onto them. What I'm expecting for them to do next is to create an M1 chip, maybe called M1S, for...
Whoa, look at this guy!
With better performance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's cool. It's interesting though, because like, you see like Apple starting to bring like more things in-house versus like traditionally you try to go for, I don't know, global distribution and whatnot. But yeah, let's see how it goes. Yeah. But the design of the laptops didn't change at all.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think the MacBook design has been a staple, right?
Yeah.
I see that you have the shitty keyboard.
What do you mean?
That keyboard is meant to be really bad. That's why they switched it back now. That's called the butterfly keyboard.
That was a limited edition release. That's why. But anyways. Okay, let's see. Financial markets, yes. Soaring on early this week. We touched on this in the politics section. Basically, yeah, number one, you remove the uncertainty because Joe Biden's going to be the next president. You have the announcement from Pfizer, BioNTech with their vaccine. So in response, just to quote some increases. So obviously Pfizer and BioNTech both jumped nearly 10%. You have shares of movie theater chains like AMC skyrocketed 60%. Concert promoter Live Nation was up more than 20%. Retailers surged. The SPDR S&P Retail ETF, codename is XRT, which holds companies like Gap, Best Buy, Target, Costco, and other big chains, was up 2%. On the other hand, we talked about companies like Zoom. They plunged nearly 15%. So did shares of interactive exercise equipment company Peloton. That's been a huge craze during COVID. They dropped. Clorox, which we talked about last episode, fell 8%.
Well, their big backer isn't president anymore too, right?
Yeah. There's no president telling them to go drink or eat Clorox wipes anymore. But yeah, that's a quick summary of the markets. In acquisition news, for the hypebeasts out there who like wearing Supreme, Supreme was actually acquired by VF Corp for $2.1 billion early on this week. For those of you that don't know VF Corp, you probably have heard of their subsidiaries that are a lot more popular. This includes Vans, North Face, Timberland, JanSports, a lot more. But Supreme has a very unique brand and a very unique way of operating. So we'll see how VF Corp can take this, maintain the fans of Supreme brand, maintain the quality of the brand, and see how they push this and integrate it with their other subsidiaries. But $2.1 billion. So congrats Supreme team, I guess, for that acquisition. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. What else do we got here? Okay. So a couple episodes back, we talked about Amazon Prime Day.
Yep.
I don't remember what the number was in terms of how much they actually sold during Prime Day.
I don't think they released it, right? Unless there's a quarterly report.
Okay.
How would you tell?
That's true, yeah. But historically speaking, like Amazon Prime Days have always made shocking number of sales. But Alibaba, which is, you can think about that company. I'm sure everyone here has heard of Alibaba.
Plus, the Amazon sales on Prime Day is estimated to be $10.4 billion globally over the 2-day period.
Okay, so over 2 days, they sell $10.4 billion.
Yeah.
Alibaba holds, they did a Singles Day sale. So I think Singles Day sale was like
1111, right?
Yeah.
November 11th.
Usually it's a single day. Which
is also known as the Canadian Remembrance Day.
Yeah. So usually they do it on a single day. This year they decided to expand it from November 1st to November 12th because of the COVID pandemic. They wanted to, I guess, I don't know, increase purchase awareness, whatever it might be. But their sales hit $100+ billion after running over the course of 11 days.
Wait, if you think about it, Amazon would have made more, no? 2 days for 10 billion?
Maybe, yeah.
And is this 100+ billion in RMB or is this in
I think it's
USD?
in USD.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's a lot of money.
They basically made, I guess Alibaba made more.
Yeah. But, so you see, crazy news like this, but shares in these tech firms, especially in China, are still falling because Chinese regulators, coming in. We talked about the delay of Ant Financial and how they kind of, put their hand in the market to control competitiveness. Do you want to talk a little bit about
Speak of Ant Financial,
yeah.
This, I don't know how reliable this is, but this was on the news, right? But again, this is China, so no one knows where this news source got this info. So this reports that Chinese President Xi personally halted the 37 billion Ant Financial IPO himself.
Interesting. I mean, I don't doubt that Jack Ma has gotten himself into some political troubles. I feel like they're not just stopping it because of anti-competitive regulations, though.
That's what I'm telling you. That's why Ant Financial should just IPO in the US or even on Nasdaq.
Do you want to go give Jack Ma a call then?
Yeah.
Send him an email. But yeah, he's definitely, political effects are always there.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on to FedEx.
Sure.
So FedEx is a promising frontrunner for the delivery of all the COVID-19 vaccines, right? Because of their fast and reliable services, and because, as you said earlier, that FedEx, these vaccines needs to be held at -80 degrees constantly. Mm-hmm. So there should be a surge in FedEx stocks coming up. Well, obviously there shouldn't be like a huge surge, like a 10-20% surge right now, because first, they're not guaranteed. They didn't sign a contract with anyone yet. They're just quote unquote the front runners of this contract. And also, this vaccine has not yet been released. So we don't know when this is going to actually start being distributed. But yeah, if you guys want to keep up with the stock market, keep an eye out for FedEx. Moving on, again with the vaccine. Yeah, so this week is a lot about vaccines.
Vaccine news,
yeah. Vaccine news. Pfizer CEO Albert Bourla sold 62% of his shares on the same day of the vaccine announcement. So everyone started having these skepticism, like, oh, maybe this guy just announced that this vaccine has 90% effectiveness just to drive up the stock.
Legally, he's not allowed.
I know. And then he came out with a statement about why he sold 62% of his shares. And his statement, basically, I won't quote him, but like TLDR, he's saying that he actually set a price range or a price limit for his stocks, and it automatically sold. So basically,
67% of it automatically sold on a price target.
Yeah.
I mean, if I was him, I would also sell because I don't think Pfizer's gonna keep going up. Like an initial shock, you see, like 90% effectiveness. Obviously, their stocks are gonna skyrocket.
And then people are gonna start realizing, oh, it's a two-time vaccine.
Yeah. Oh, you store negative 80.
Yeah, you start storing negative 80. Oh, it can only probably be distributed in the US.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
62%, same day. He's basically.
How much money did he make off that?
I have no idea.
Okay, that's definitely a substantial amount of money for him. But yeah. Okay, last little bit. So we're in a bit of a, I guess, conflicting opinions here. I'm a huge Disney fan, and I have invested my personal money into Disney. Okay. I think I believe they just released. Was it their earnings or they released something?
Yeah, they released their Q4 earnings.
Q4 earnings, yes.
On Friday, the pre-market.
And it showed that I think they only lost like 20 cents compared to the estimated 70 cents.
Yeah. So they actually beat their estimate by around 70% this time, I think. That's what I saw.
Yeah. So in my humble opinion, I feel like Disney is doing a great job kind of weathering the storm during COVID. and at the same time, it's setting themselves up for a huge return to profitability once the vaccine gets released and people can go back to normal activities again. Here's why. So if you take a look at all the streaming sites, obviously Netflix is the industry beater. Disney is a close second. Not close, but they're second right now. Okay? They also own Hulu. And if you've never seen those ads with
Hulu has real sports.
Yeah, Damian Lillard, Hulu has live sports.
Same with Giannis.
Yes. Disney Plus, they, I think, registered like 70 plus million subscribers. But personally, I think, Disney has this massive global brand attached to their portfolio of entertainment sources that vastly differentiates them from Netflix. Obviously, Netflix now, or has already been coming out with Netflix specials that are only released on Netflix, but Disney has been something, critical to family households since whenever it started with all of those Disney movies, right? They have a unique brand identity within the streaming service. I feel like once COVID is free, because of how much they're doing with their recurring subscription payments with Disney Plus, you're going to start seeing a huge surge from your merchandise sales, from your park visits. I mean, I'm pretty sure like park visits were stable.
Okay, let me chime in here then. Okay, so obviously this is where we conflict. So Johnny is a huge Disney stocks guy, and I hate Disney stocks. And this is why I tell him not to get Disney stocks or pull out of Disney stocks. So yes, Disney stocks, their main profit is from parks and also Disney Plus, their streaming service. And you also added that Netflix is the main competition when Disney is second. However, there's also been a surging third place coming out, Prime Videos, right? That's gonna eat into Disney Plus's market share. Additionally, nearly 50% of Disney Plus customers are in India and Indonesia, and they pay far less than US users, right? So these like Disney Plus customer retention rates are pretty skewed. Just because you say, oh yeah, Netflix only has 100 customers paying at this rate, and you have Disney Plus has 200 customers, but they only pay like a small amount than US customers, their profit margin is still going to be less than Netflix, right? That's my take on Disney. Secondly, the vaccine is almost here, but we don't know how long it would take for everyone to get it and how this distribution will go. Ticketmaster has came out actually, and also something else also came out and said they're planning to have a vaccine check in 2021, and if you don't have a vaccine, you can't actually attend any of the concerts or events that Ticketmaster holds.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's a pretty big ethical discussion going on there.
But yeah, so Disney parks still being shut down, where they're still being like running on like 50% operational speed, and there's been tons of layoffs. And Disney actually came out publicly and said, hey, I think we're going to switch focus on streaming devices now, or streaming services now, instead of parks. There's a huge swing of what they're trying to do. That's basically like saying like Tesla like came out today, and Elon Musk was like, hey, instead of trying to, make EVs, we're going to start building TVs.
I disagree with that, because it's not like this Disney Streaming Plus service is like, this is a complimentary service to their theme parks. Like everything that puts on Disney Plus is going to stream into their theme park and attraction sites. Right.
So you already saw so Disney Plus, everyone's saying Disney Plus is going to be like the savior of streaming service or the savior of Disney stocks, but it's not, right?
I don't think it's single-handedly going to be the
same. But you also seen that Mulan this year, right? Got released. Didn't hit Cineplex, didn't hit movie theaters. It was supposed to be like a pretty big film, right? Because it was like the first Chinese character that Disney ever like produced. But it got like slashed onto Disney Plus services for $34.99 or $50, some like ridiculous amount for streaming. Not even for like buying this movie, for streaming it for 2 hours. And after 2 hours, you watch it once and you don't have it anymore. And they sold it for like $34.99 Canadian or USD. It was ridiculous. Now, like, it saw a huge hit in Mulan ticket sales, obviously. That's why they're holding off the Black Widow release date until they're probably is going to be like a movie theater reopen up plan.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
We'll see what happens. Disney is I'm holding it. I'm in for the long run for Disney.
How much money do you have in Disney?
Like $3,000.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, we'll see what happens.
Okay.
All right, let's move on to debate topics then.
Okay.
Well,
this week I'll start.
Sure.
I thought we were gonna start off with a pretty I feel like our podcast has been like pretty serious these days, you know?
Yeah, about some serious stuff.
Yeah, like we're always talking about, is it ethical to report suicide on university news? But you know, these are some depressing times. These are some hard and trying times. Obviously, we want you guys to have fun to listen to us debate and have fun listening to this. So we thought to bring you guys some interesting debate topics. So we have one this week debate topic for all the basketball fans out there. Obviously, me and Johnny are huge basketball fans, and we watch NBA basically every day. And there's gonna be like I won't spoil it, but it's gonna be like a pretty relatable debate topic about the new gaming consoles, about PS4, PS5, and Xbox X. And then we're gonna talk about seeing Elon Musk. Something like that. All right, starting off.
What?
Anyways.
What are you talking about, bro? Okay, just start with the first one.
Okay, first one. So obviously, news came out that Russell Westbrook does not want to stay in Houston, right? Russell Westbrook got traded to Houston last year, right? Or 2 years ago for Chris Paul, and Russell Westbrook came out. So Houston first fired their GM, and their GM went to Philly. And the GM came out and said, I want to acquire James Harden. But obviously, that's kind of cap. Houston's not going to give up James Harden. But Russell Westbrook also came out and said, I don't want to be in Houston anymore. So I thought it would be fun to talk about where do you think is the best fit for Russell Westbrook? And here's my take, all right? I'll start with my take while you think about it. Because obviously, this is my debate topic. I wrote it on this doc. I already had some thoughts onto this.
Sure.
I think Russell Westbrook should go to the 76ers for, drumroll, Joel Embiid. So you have
the worst trade in history.
So you have Joel. Obviously, Houston's gonna give someone else.
That's the worst trade in history.
They're probably gonna get Westbrook and Austin River probably for Joel Embiid. Maybe even Capella. Oh, actually, is Capella still in Houston? I think
no, they got rid of Capella when they brought in Russell.
Okay, some big men. Maybe PJ. Sure. PJ, Westbrook, and Austin River for Joel Embiid. Think about this, all right? I think it's beneficial for both teams. You have James Harden and Joel Embiid. James Harden has been known to be playing with shitty big men, right? Like Capella, can't shoot, can only run the pick and roll, can only stand underneath the basket and dunk and catch alley-oops. Whereas Joel Embiid, two-way big man, right? Can post up, can shoot a three, loves to do his little dumbass pump fake and get all the big men jumping in the league. It's gonna open up the floor a lot for James Harden, right? James Harden right now, when he drives, the big man comes, and that's a double team, and then he throws up for the lob. But now Joel Embiid can, cut out to the corners, shoot the three, pump fake for the three, or he can even just run high pick and roll with James Harden. That's a perfect one. Additionally, onto Philly's side, when you trade away, when you get an actual traditional point guard like Russell Westbrook, you can actually... What do you mean?
You just said Russell Westbrook's the traditional point guard.
Well, like a point guard, like an actual point guard, unlike Ben Simmons, right? You can actually put Ben Simmons into power forward as what they were trying to do when they trying to bring in Markel Fultz. So their whole point was to get Joel Embiid. So they got Joel first, then they got Ben Simmons, and then they got Markel. And their whole plan with Markel was to have Markel play the point guard and move Ben Simmons to power forward. But then obviously Markel had his stupid motorcycle accident and he hurt some like tendon and some ligament in his shoulder, and he couldn't play. So 76ers traded him. Ben Simmons still can't shoot, still can only drive and dunk. It's still stuck at point guard. But now if you move Russell Westbrook there and you move Ben Simmons to the power forward position, Ben Simmons can basically play like Kevin Durant, but he can't shoot. Right? He can still bring up the ball, or he can just like post up. What's your take?
I think that's the stupidest trade in history
For who?
of the NBA. Obviously, the Rockets would benefit from having someone like Joel Embiid, but no one in their right mind would take. Philadelphia would not take Russell Westbrook.
Okay, so where do you think Russell Westbrook belongs?
Here's what I think about Russell Westbrook. I am not a big fan of him. I don't see him as a point guard. I see him as a stats builder. That's what he does. He just pads the stats every game. Russell Westbrook's career is just going to be about breaking the stats record, but he'll never win any sort of championship because he just sucks on like a team. He can't really shoot. That's why he wasn't really that good of a fit for the Rockets, because they needed more shooters surrounding James Harden. I think the best place for Russell Westbrook to go is just to go to the Knicks. They got a trash team. Russell Westbrook can just dominate that and average his triple-double all he wants, and then just stay a loser for his whole career. Because he's not a team player that's going to go somewhere and just boost the morale of the team. Like, he's out there, he's going to pad his stats, he's going to get a triple-double, he's going to dunk on people, and that's it. So you probably go to some trash team like the Knicks or something. It's probably the best fit for him. But like, I could see, like, I just don't see Russell Westbrook as like a player like that's that nice. Like, I don't see him as a point guard. Like, sure, he gets assists, but he's padding the stats. That's my take on it.
Okay, well, off-season is coming up. Where off-season is already here.
Like, I would do 1-for-1 trade Jeremy Lin for Russell Westbrook.
Shut the fuck up.
Hands down. But anyways.
Yeah, okay. On to next. This is pretty funny, I guess. Basically, quote-unquote, should there be resellers in the world? And this is basically the context towards why I asked this question, why I want to bring this question to you guys' attention. So the PS5 and the Xbox X series has dropped this week. And Walmart actually fucked up and they made it an online-only event. Obviously, because of COVID reasons, normally people go into Walmart and then like line up. Like, you know how like back then, Apple events, you see actually people tent up and wait for the new iPhone to come out. And they basically stayed there for like 24 hours trying to get the first iPhone. Or in case like the iPhone doesn't sell out or it sells out, right? So Walmart did an online-only event this year, which is smart because of COVID. Obviously, they don't want people to line up and get an Xbox X and the side of COVID. But they forgot to do a captcha service. So basically, captcha service are like to prevent all these bots from buying. So someone actually bought 32 Xbox X or PS5. I forgot which one, and I don't quote me on the number. Like a large, stupid amount of Xboxes. Basically, bought them out at the initial launch and is selling them for $32,000 on eBay and Craigslist. And this is not the only thing, right? The resellers has been known, like flippers, like shoe flippers, has been known to be like a huge industry in our world, right? Another thing that comes to mind when I think about this is the Kobe Pronto shoes. So Kobe died this year, and Foot Locker or Nike wanted to quote unquote remember him by dropping limited edition shoes. I think they're called I don't know what the line. The Protro. Yeah, the Protro shoes, and they're pretty sick. Have you seen the colorways? Yeah. They're pretty sick. Yeah. Obviously, Foot Locker instant sold out. I tried to cop a pair, instant sold out, and now they're being resold for like $1,000, $2,000. Honestly, at this point, if you're trying to actually remember Kobe, if you're actually trying to show respect, pay respect to him, why would you drop a limited edition? This is not an event for Kobe to remember Kobe. This is just an event for these resellers, for these flippers to get more money. And this thing is also happening to like, again, we talked about Supreme this year, this week's sort of debate topic, or in business finance, where they got bought out by VF. But Supreme has been known for one of the largest exclusive drops in the world, in hypebeast brand, right? like box logos. I don't know if you know, like basically it's like a red box with Supreme logos on it. That hoodie, so a black box logo hoodie with black box with white lettering and then on a black hoodie can go up to $1,000 to $2,000 after resale level.
Yeah.
So do you think there should be, resellers in the world? Do you think this should be a profession, or do you think this should be a side hustle idea for people? Like, do you know what I'm saying, or do I need to keep on elaborating?
I don't know what you mean by like, should it be a profession or should it be a side hustle?
Or do you think should we allow this type of behavior?
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with resellers.
Mm-hmm.
Because like it's a free market.
Mm-hmm.
If they bought it at, let's say, like $300 and someone else is willing to pay $1,000 for it, there's nothing wrong with that. The free market determines.
But do you think they should be allowed to do that though? Like to buy, maybe, like another thing I can think about to a huge reseller can do is like NBA finals ticket, right? Mm-hmm. That sells out really quick. And also concert tickets like BTS. Mm-hmm. I remember, I think one of my friends wanted to go to a BTS concert this year, but
don't lie, it was you, bro.
But they were selling it for like $2,000 for like garbage seats.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. If anything, I think that's smart for people to, if they're going to put in the effort to get those tickets or get the shoes or get whatever early.
I think it's one thing to be smart, but it's also one thing to be unethical.
So you think it's unethical?
Yes.
Okay, I will agree about the Kobe Pro ones though, but that's not the reseller's fault. That's Foot Locker's fault. They should have just released it because the Pro were literally sitting on shelves. No one was buying them before Kobe died because they're not the best basketball performing shoes. Mm-hmm. Once Kobe died, they took down all the Kobe merchandise and then say, okay, we're gonna release something for the Kobe fans out there. Then they did a limited edition release. Mm-hmm. That's not the reseller's fault for buying them and then flipping them. That's Foot Locker's fault for only producing a limited amount.
But if you're gonna buy these Kobe shoes, with the mere intention of flipping them, why would you even buy them? Why should you buy them? Or why would you even allow to buy them?
To make money. It doesn't matter what your reason is for buying it. If you give Foot Locker $300 and you buy those shoes, you can do whatever you want with those shoes. Why does it matter what? It doesn't matter what Foot Locker.
So you think it's ethical, or you think it's okay for people to build 100%. bots?
100%.
To get to buy out all the PS5s, to buy out all the Xbox X series, and just resell them. For like people actually want them, right? Like I've been in those shoes. I really want something. Like I really wanted the Pro shoes. Mm-hmm. But like I'm not stupid enough to pay $1,000 for it. Doesn't matter how big of a Kobe fan I am, right? Yeah. But some people actually do that. Like when I had my 2 iPhones, I accidentally bought 2 iPhones. Like you put it on the marketplace, people are willing, are willing to pay up to like $500 to just get an early release of the phone. Exactly. When they have but do I feel ethical about reselling them?
Why not? There's nothing. If someone else is willing to pay that price for you. Okay, so then why did you, if you feel unethical, why did you sell at a higher price then? Why did you just sell at the same price?
Because he offered, I just said, okay.
Okay, but if it's unethical to you personally, you would have been like, no, I can give it to you for the retail price. See? It doesn't matter. You're making money. It doesn't matter. It's not unethical. There are obviously programs built into place for these people that are for companies that are selling online, because it's one thing to say, let's say Foot Locker releases a shoe. Somebody has a bot, and the bot just literally buys them out of stock. And it's one person now owns 2 million pairs of these shoes. Mm-hmm. And then they dictate the price and say, okay, I own the entire stock of this shoe. I'm going to sell this price. That's illegal. Or the companies are making it illegal. They have security things.
Okay. I actually have a better idea for you. Okay?
Okay, fine.
Not a better idea, but a better example for you.
Sure.
Remember back at the beginning of the pandemic, everyone was running out of toilet paper. There was a huge toilet paper war, mm-hmm. and there's also people reselling PPEs. Mm-hmm. And the government actually made it illegal for people to resell PPEs. People will actually just go into every single store and buy out these masks and then resell them for 3 times, 4 times the money. And so you think that's okay?
I don't think that's okay, no.
That's the same as reselling.
The concept of reselling is there, yeah, but
No,
it's
reselling and reselling, right? You can't just be like, oh, this type of reselling is okay, that type of reselling is not okay.
You're taking a very unique, once in a lifetime, never happened before situation and applying it to like retail reselling. This is like a global pandemic that the government's trying to handle.
Well, no, this is not the first time. There's been like, vegetable shortages. There's been pork shortages. People have been buying pork and reselling pork online back then.
Back when people thought Y2K
yeah.
in the world.
Yeah.
Well,
that's a pandemic. We're not a pandemic. That's an issue.
That's a conspiracy theory, first of all. But yeah, okay. I don't think you should be able to like something like face masks that are like essential to people, that because there's a reason why the government made that illegal, because face masks are necessary for their government plans in terms of preventing the spread of COVID. Like
so unless it's an essential need, if it's a luxury good, it's not illegal.
No, if it's a regular like product or service that doesn't have to do with a global pandemic that the government's trying to control, then yeah, you can do it.
So unless it's a pandemic, reselling should be okay.
Yeah, I agree. I'll say that. Yeah.
Well, why does pandemic have that?
Because the government's trying to make sure that everyone can get face mask supplies so they can control the spread of COVID within the community. That's why they're going to mandate saying it's illegal. If there wasn't COVID and people started buying face masks and wanted to resell it, then no one would be buying them because there's no need for it. But it's because of this global pandemic that the government's setting this, because they're trying to control it. If you buy like 500 new Macs of Apple and then you try to resell it to someone, like if someone's willing to pay the money, then sure. But it's totally different.
But can the same concept apply to masks and hand sanitizers? If people were willing to pay $500 for hand sanitizers, why shouldn't I sell them for $500?
Well, it's not about like, because the government's trying to control that everyone gets at least like some hand sanitizer, some face mask. Because
so I'm saying there are hand sanitizers and face masks to go around, and people are willing to pay $500 for a small.
Not.
No?
No one was willing to pay for that much. Like when Canadian Tire marked up one face mask for like $30, everyone's like, what the hell? And they're blasting Canadian Tire. They're like, you guys are stupid.
I think that's like at the very beginning. Well,
yeah,
obviously
so was the very beginning of like people cashing out on toilet paper and face masks. Like that died out after like a couple weeks.
I actually know that there's a toilet paper outage.
Where?
Coming out soon.
Not coming out soon.
Not coming out soon, sorry. Let me rephrase. There's actually been like if you go into superstores now, there's starting to have toilet paper outages again. That's what I meant.
Okay, well that's different. That's like hoarding though. People are hoarding like the type of like material. But like, so you think resellers are unethical?
Yeah.
But you literally resold your phone. So
I know, but I'm saying
so you're unethical.
No, I'm saying if you're doing this as a profession, this should not be a profession. But I didn't do it as a profession.
But you did it.
I did it because I accidentally bought 2 iPhones.
Okay, but you could have sold it at the price you paid for it.
But I could have.
Yeah.
But people were willing to do it.
So that still makes you unethical because you sold it at a higher price.
No, so you think it's okay then?
I think it's fine.
Oh
I think if I was you, I would have marked it up even higher and sold it to them.
Oh my god.
But you're out here saying it's unethical, and you're the one that literally resold your phone. I haven't resold anything. So I just find it funny.
No,
why did you resell it?
I resold my phone because it took me time and money.
Exactly.
To go out and do it.
Exactly. So it takes the people that are willing to camp outside of Foot Locker and engineer these bots and wait 24 hours in line, in the dark, in the cold, to buy an extra pair or 10 extra pairs of some limited edition shoes and then resell it for a price. That's literally the same justification. How is it unethical?
I think it's because you haven't been at a situation when you want to buy something and you haven't been able to get it. And people have been reselling them for maybe 4 times, 5 times the value. And then you starting to get pissed off and you'll be like, oh, fuck these resellers.
No, if I did get really pissed off, I would put that energy towards making money and then just buy it. But I'm saying I wanted to buy the Pro Tros too.
Yeah.
Like I wanted to buy the Kobe gear too.
Mm-hmm.
You don't see me putting my old Kobe 9s out reselling them for like $1,000. If anyone wants it, no, I'm kidding.
Okay, so
it's not. I don't think it's unethical.
So why? So if you don't think it's unethical,
I think
so Gymshark sale had this Black Friday sale last Friday, right?
Sure.
What if we just bought out the whole store?
You literally can't do that.
Yes, you can.
No, you can't.
Remember we were trying to buy those joggers and those joggers went out?
Dude, you cannot... One user cannot max out their supply. That's not possible. I can go on Gymshark right now. There's going to be a limit to how much I can buy.
No, but I'm saying, what if there's a bot? There's a limit to how much you can buy, but a bot can just keep on using different accounts to buy other stuff, right? That's the premise of a bot. Like for these like Xboxes, I'm pretty sure like Walmart has a limit on how many Xboxes you can buy.
Yeah.
But these bots, like he has like 5 computers running.
Okay.
And these 5 computers all have different quote unquote accounts and different bots. I'm pretty sure you can max out.
So if I want to buy 10 pairs, I can buy 10 pairs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if someone wants to pay Gymshark 5,000 pairs, if someone wants to pay Gymshark the amount of money it costs to buy 5,000 pair of shorts.
So why don't we do that then? Why don't we just become resellers?
Do you have the money to pay for that up front?
We can have a Kickstarter.
That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Also, Gymshark would probably file a lawsuit against us because that's illegal.
Well, Walmart didn't file a lawsuit against the other person.
Against who?
Against the person that...
Because he didn't buy out... It wasn't one person that single-handedly bought out every single supply.
No, he single-handedly bought out like that one store supply.
Yeah.
Like, for example, if there's a Walmart at Metrotown or like Eaton Center, he bought out that whole store supply.
Yeah, you're talking about Gymshark, who has global manufacturing. Like, they don't have a retail front. It's just like, you know how many shorts they make? You're going to buy out like 15 million pairs of shorts.
Okay. Anyways, let's move on to the last debate topic.
All right. Last one is, do you think it's good? Would it be good news or bad news for humans to see aliens?
I think it's going to be bad news.
Very thorough.
I think.
Thank you.
No, I want to hear your take on it, and then we'll see if I'm gonna have to come up with a debate plan or not.
No, I also agree. I think it's gonna be bad news if we see it.
Okay, sure. Now we can elaborate on why we both think it's a bad news. Then
why do you think it's bad news?
I think it's a bad news that first of all, people are not very accommodating to change, right? And humans are like, for a while they've been known to be like the highest level of organisms on this planet. I'm not saying, but I also think that this like movie industry and these like film industry and production industry and the government has given us false interpretations, or not even false interpretations, like false, I guess, interpretations of what an alien could look like. Because if you close your eyes and you think of an alien, I'm betting you're thinking of someone.
I thought of you.
Of a fucking bald ass, big head, skinny legs, skinny arms.
Okay, but you can't say it's a false interpretation though, because there is no true interpretation.
Okay, fine, but I'm saying like it could be a misinterpretation. Like there could be aliens living among us right now, right?
Yeah.
But we don't know. It could be like living like microorganisms. It doesn't have to be the same size as us. It doesn't have to an alien doesn't have to live with us like
I know, but it's not false though. It's just that's their narrative that they created. It could be true. It could be false. We don't know because we don't know the actual what aliens look like.
Okay, let me rephrase this. Is it good or bad for us to see alien, or do you think alien exist?
So I've actually been looking into this for a few different reasons.
Which website? QAnon?
Huh?
Which website have you been looking into
this? This is called the www.realconspiracytheories.com.
Okay,
but
I use that website too.
Okay, so it would actually be. So there's a theory out there in terms of I believe it's called the Fermi paradox as to why we haven't seen aliens, because like given the size of the universe, statistically speaking, there should be another race of whatever out there, right?
Well, statistically speaking, Elon Musk also came out and said this, right? I think it's not recently, but he said this in a podcast around like 5 to 10 years ago. He said, or I think it was Elon Musk or Bill Gates. He said by the time that this human generation has been like evolving, this is a simulation. We live in a simulation.
Okay, I know the theory.
Yeah.
But
we evolve way too quickly.
That's not why he said we live in a simulation.
He was
talking about how if we ever achieve fully functional AI that's smarter than humans, there's a very high chance that we're living in a simulation.
Yeah, something like that.
Because someone could just literally code an AI program that runs our entire world in a simulation. I think that's what he was talking about.
I think it was, I forgot.
That
it was
something about us being, like, going through evolution that fast.
I forgot who stated that.
It was Elon Musk.
I think it was Elon Musk, right?
It's not Bill Gates, bro.
Yeah.
Bill Gates doesn't say this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, though. So Fermi paradox is why everyone can see aliens. So there's a theory called the Great Filter, which is basically saying that look at the ways humans have evolved. We have now nuclear...
Oh, he said this on the Joe Rogan Experience.
Okay. Yeah. And?
So it's not recent, actually. He said this on 2018, September 7th.
He's also just like talked about it on his like social media and stuff as well. Anyways.
Oh, we forgot to talk about that Elon Musk has COVID.
No, he doesn't have COVID.
Or what's the implication?
Okay, let me explain this part first, bro. I'm trying to say there's a theory out there called the Great Filter. If you look at the ways humans have developed, we now have the power within an hour to just completely decimate this Earth with nuclear bombs. And we just kill all life on planet Earth within an hour. Would you agree?
Sure.
So, the Great Filter is basically saying that no civilization has advanced that far technologically without killing themselves and just making themselves extinct. So the reason why we don't see any aliens is because nobody has been able to make it past this Great Filter where they've been able to evolve society and their technology and civilization past a certain level before just killing themselves. Imagine we start bioengineering, diseases alongside of nuclear bombs.
Which we're already doing with COVID.
There's so many ways that humans are progressing that can just kill all of us instantaneously.
Okay.
So that's one theory is the Great Filter. The other theory is that they're just so far advanced that it's like when we walk on the street, we see a little ant. Why don't we try to go, hey ant, like what's up? Like let me learn about your civilization.
Yeah.
And we just see a little ant hill, we're like, cool. We don't even try to communicate with ants. An ant could be like a human saying, all right, we're trying to progress, we're trying to send out our signal so that other aliens out there could hear us. And they're not even on the same level. Like I don't even know how to explain it. They're not on the same level. That could be us to aliens. Which is why aliens, don't exist to us because we're little puny ants on the concrete.
Dude, yeah, I actually think about this a lot when I was a kid, actually. Like, we could be just like tiny organisms living on the surface of something.
We are. Dude, we're just a bunch of monkeys that are running around on a flying meteorite that's going around the sun.
No.
If you think about it. That's pretty messed up. You put things into perspective on what the universe actually is. I was also reading another thing cool. We're talking about space now. Do you know what the n-body problem is?
No, what is it?
So basically it's in physics, or astrophysics. When we have two bodies that each have their own gravitational pull, we can mathematically figure out how they orbit around another and predict their path.
Okay.
As soon as you add a third body in there that has its own gravitational pull, we cannot predict the travel path. Like it's erratic. So you look at the solar system, look how many bodies are in the solar system with their own gravitational pull. The fact that they're all rotating around each other in a predictable format is by pure chance. So it's saying like within the next 100 million years or so, our solar system's probably not going to spin the way it's spinning or orbit the way it's orbiting. Not to mention if a meteorite comes in and changes that gravitational pull by just the slightest, it's going to throw everything offhand. So we don't even know how our orbit's working. By any chance right now, the Earth could just fall out of orbit and crash right into the sun. Like, we don't know.
Okay, let's end this on this topic. We can talk about it for a quick 2 minutes, but we can talk about this. What do you think is going to be the end for civilization for us?
The end of civilization?
Do you think it's going to be a natural disaster? Or do you think it's going to be a human...
definitely humans are going to kill themselves.
You think so?
If humans don't kill themselves, then it's going to be a climate disaster.
Okay, you basically just said the two.
No, but I said human kills themselves first, though. Higher chance that human just kills themselves.
Nuclear?
Yeah. Dude, humans almost killed themselves during the Cold War. Do you remember hearing that story where the guy, he saw someone had launched 5 nuclear warheads into the air. He was like a Russian operator, and he was about to click and launch all of Russia's nuclear warheads. But he thought, no way that someone would just send like 5 warheads. It must be a glitch. He waited 2 minutes, and it was just a glitch because the sun was reflecting off the clouds. If he hit send on those nuclear bombs, we wouldn't be here right now. We'd be dead. What's his name? I'm going to find his name. Something about some miscalculated warhead.
Winnie the Pooh.
Nice. Anyways, what do you think?
I think it's going to be a natural disaster, actually.
You think a natural disaster? What type of natural disaster?
I don't know what type, but I don't think that humans are dumb enough to run ourselves into the ground.
You'd be surprised, bro. Do you not remember World War One, World War Two, Holocaust?
But we didn't. Like we still came out. You know, like just as Daniel said, when 50,
oh, nice, very nice.
when
bro.
50% of civilization it's gone, the other 50% thrive.
What does that have to do
I'm
with
just kidding.
what we were talking about?
No, I'm just kidding. Okay, let's end it there.
All right. Yeah, so let's stop it there. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Thoughtful. Again, the full audio version of this is online on any podcast platform you listen to. Make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Let us know down in the comment section below which topics you enjoyed the most, what topics you want to see us talk about in the future, and if there's any specific debate topics you're interested in hearing us talk about. But yeah, we'll see you guys next week.